saying a word.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to look to your left. We've got inbound the first two aircraft in the Naval Air Power Demonstration. Lieutenant Commander Natty Clark and Lieutenant Switch Burns from VFA 136, the Nighthawks. As you can look over your shoulder to the right and see them as they reposition, the Nighthawks are executing a second level laydown. themselves for their final run over the target area, this time delivering 20 Mike 20mm cannons at a rate of 6,000 rounds per minute. Each bullet has the explosive force of a hand grenade and is delivered with deadly accuracy using the Hornet's air-to-ground targeting system. Now watch for the pop-up as they roll in for the strafing pass, coming in from the left. Hawk 3-1, the flight lead immediately responds to the call after verifying that all ordnance is ready and all switches are set for weapons delivery. Hawk 3-1 and 3-2 will execute a level laydown maneuver, flying directly over the target at 500 feet at 500 knots. That's 575 miles per hour, delivering two 500-pound bombs. This maneuver allows these pilots to achieve the element of surprise by keeping their aircraft below the enemy's line of sight. As they enter the target area and deliver their ordnance, they'll be gone before the bad guys even know what hit them. Let's watch for the Nighthawk section as approaches from the right for their attack. The Hawks have cleared up the area. They'll be coming in one more time. Now River 1-3, piloted by Lieutenant Tool Stavridis and Lieutenant Commander Smug Desmet, and River 1-4, piloted by Commander Yank Cummings and Lieutenant M. Con Prickett from VFA 11 Red River's ingress to the target area.
Reference is fired and all the vehicles are disabled or destroyed. Small arms fired from 3-1. Delivery of ordnance with tree line, please.
River 1, roger. Watch for the pop-up, up about 20 degrees, roll inverted. Get on the target, roll upright, and stand by for the attack. with fuel and weapons allowing for several more passes over the target area. River 1-3 and 1-4, setting up for what now we hear is going to be their last pass, are inbound for the left. Hornets down on the ground right away. We'll be bringing the rest of the fleet in. But I would like to welcome to the stage the gentleman who is in his 5th year as the coordinator, the air show director of the Naval Air Station Oceana Airshow, retired Navy Commander Rich, call sign Corky Erie. Oh, Rich, get to enjoy this show today. We got ourselves a great day for an air show, haven't we?
We sure do, Rob. We had a little trouble yesterday with the wind and the clouds, but it looks really nice out there today. We got a great show lined up.
And we want to say a great big thank you to another Rich who's out there, along with Chief McCormick from the base and the Explosive Ordnance Gang here, is Rich's incredible pyro, Rich Gibson. I'm glad you had him back here this year.
He is truly incredible. He does some great work for us. He provides the boom to the zoom, if you will, and it makes it look like a great show out there. I love it.
Indeed. Well, we've got a lot of folks represented here in the Air Power demo. The squadrons from here, the Red Rippers, the Checkmates. We've got the Gladiators, the Nighthawks, and the rest. And if you go back in time, Naval Air Station Oceana has a rich naval aviation history.
Absolutely. It was a small airfield in the mud flats out here in the early 40s, an outlying landing field. And then you see a 4-plane Porsche come in right now. There you go. Downwind now, lowering the landing gear, dropping the flaps, and getting ready to get it for the landing.
Yes, indeed. Now, you say that this was an outlying field at one point?
Correct. This was all farmland, and this used to be an outlying field for Norfolk, but it got bigger and bigger. They decided to put airplanes here and make it a naval air station in the early 50s. from the minute it's been getting bigger and bigger. And it's been the mainstay for the naval aviation on the East Coast here for a long time.
Call it the Master Jet Base.
Correct, Master Jet Base. Means that all the strike fighters on the East Coast live here, about 230 of them.
Wow. I guess this ramp fills up pretty good when we don't have an air show happening here.
Correct. If you come out here today, we have a lot of folks home. It's just chocker block of Hornets and Super Hornets.
So if people want to find out more about it, you got some information on the website. I bet you do. On the air show website, perhaps?
The Oceana website is probably a better place to go. It's NAS Oceana.navy.mil.
Well, we'll be able to check that out when you get home. You're a former Tomcat guy. I'm sure you were kind of sad to see the Tomcat get retired 2 years ago. Let's see, it'll be 2 years ago next week.
Absolutely, yeah. The Tomcat was a mainstay here for since 1972. It's the primary fighter. It turned into a bomber a little later on in my career, too. We got to start dropping bombs, which is kind of neat. And then she eventually had to go away early because it was an older airplane. It's about 30 years old.
Yeah, that's particularly with the kind of punishment that Navy carrier aircraft has to endure in its incredibly hard landings. With what kind of rated descent do you have on them?
It's about a 600-foot of rated descent. Essentially, it's similar to taking the airplane and dropping it from 25 feet in the air every time it lands. So, wow. Some of those airplanes land thousands of times. That's a lot of stress on the airplane.
And the folks at Grumman have lived up over the years to their nickname, the Iron Works.
Absolutely. You'll notice on a Navy airplane, the landing gear is just a lot bigger than an Air Force airplane. The Air Force guys can flare their landing and land gently. The Navy airplanes are heavier, and they got bigger landing gears to stand that kind of tolerance, that kind of torture on them.
And they're also subjected to some pretty significant forces when in a cat shot, in a catapult launch.
Right. That catapult shot accelerates from 0 to about 150 in about 1.2 seconds. So you can imagine that's kind of a big pull on the airframe.
Now it takes a lot of man hours and maintenance and maintenance work to keep these airplanes flying. My understanding is that as the Tomcat got older and was reaching the end of its service life, it was taking many more hours per hour of flying. Was there a number that was attached to that?
Well, you have to remember the airplane was designed in the 70s, designed in the 60s, and released in the 70s. So that's pretty old technology in terms of the airframe itself. But towards the end of her life, she was getting about 60 to 70 maintenance man hours per flight hour.
Gotta love the diamond brake. Oh yeah. So in other words, it took 60, maybe 10 people, 6 hours each.
Yes. Per flight hour of the aircraft, correct.
To put 2 guys up there just to fly it for 1 hour.
Correct, yes. And that's a lot of work for those hard-working sailors, and that was part of the reason they were starting to cycle that airplane out of service.
And it happens with every airplane. I remember when the Air Force decided to retire their version of the Vaught Corsair 2. You had the A-7E, they had the A-7D.
Right.
That was back in, I believe, 1995. They said A-7s, they just can't be flown anymore. Not that it was a bad airplane, just got beat up too much.
Right, and the good thing about the Super Hornet is its maintenance man hours per flight hour are basically a single-digit number.
Wow, yeah, that's tough. Now, I would assume that number is way better with the Hornets and Super Hornets.
Absolutely. You know, you got state-of-the-art digital technology in there. It's kind of plug and play. Hook the computer up and tells you what's wrong with it. An airplane even diagnosis itself, it'll tell you what's wrong with it.
And are the engines easier to get out of a Hornet than a Tomcat?
Absolutely, very much so.
Now, as these guys fly by, they on a carrier.
They fly the exact same profile you fly to a carrier every time you land. It's something that's so difficult to do. We practice it every time we land. They're out there flying the meatballs called. It's a visual landing aid that tells them what their glide slope is. About a 3.2-degree glide slope, and they maintain that the entire way down from touchdown.
You know, on Thursday when I was here, I had the opportunity to sit in one of the Super Hornet simulators. Now, I've been a civilian pilot since 1982. I do training videos for Sporty's pilot shops, talking about teaching people how to fly light airplanes. There's something that we do as civilian pilots that you guys don't do, and when we get close to the ground, like an Air Force pilot, we give a little bit of back pressure on the stick or the yoke to touch down gently. Right. That just doesn't work on a carrier, does it?
No, it does not. You'll go sail past those 4 rescue wires and do what's called a bolter many, many times. You got to fly into the ground, basically. In fact, if I ever tried to flare, I'd probably mess that up myself. I couldn't flare to save my life, but I've got to hit the deck.
You know, there are some guys, like former F-15 demonstration pilot Tony Barankoven, who is now here at BFA 106, and he said that he had the same problem I did. So I don't feel too bad with over 1,500 hours of jet time that he has. Right. Now, so these guys are coming into land. There are some Naval Air Stations and Marine Corps Air Stations that have on the runway an actual painting of a carrier deck.
Absolutely. They paint a depiction of a carrier box installed, and the landing lane is right next to that. There's actually lights around that box. They'll put all the rest of the lights on, turn that box on, and it looks just like a carrier night.
Absolutely amazing. Now, did you have that here as well? Is that what you got on the runway here? Absolutely. So those guys are aiming for that precise spot. How many cables are stretched across the deck of the carrier?
4 cables. And you're looking at pin number 3.
In other words, to have that railroad come down right midway between the second and third wire.
Basically, yeah. The numbers for backwards and forwards, number 1 wire is the back wire, and also 1 wire.
Because you're too close to the edge of the deck. Right. Catch the 4 wire, you've been a little high on the glide slope. Correct. Yeah. So you catch the 3 wire, and BFA 106 on the first of the Hornet. Everybody probably is aware of, I'm sure a lot of people here are aware of what's happened with the wings on that Hornet. Why do you fold the wings up?
Well, they built Navy airplanes to fold up so they can get more on the flight deck. There's a number called a deck multiple. Essentially, it's the square footage that airplane takes up. And every Navy variant airplane will have wings that fold either up, or the wingtips will fold up, or the F-14 have the wings that went all the way back. And the more space you can make on that flight deck, the more airplanes you can get on there.
So it's a space saver, and that's another thing about these airplanes, that they have to be those wings that have to endure a great deal, have to handle a great deal of strength, because when they're in air combat maneuvering, you're putting loads on those wings that would snap anything that wasn't totally well built.
Yeah, 789Gs on a hinged wing is no small thing, so obviously there's a lot of attention to how they design that. But the carrier will have about 70 airplanes or so. And the carrier is very big. And once you get 70 airplanes on there, it's pretty interesting to watch them moving around to make the flight launches every day.
Interesting it is. Well, thank you, Corky. We'll get this last one back here. Yeah, I think of back in 1964 when Lieutenant Jim Flatley was engaged by the Navy to try to take a C-130 Hercules and land it on an aircraft carrier.
That happened.
132-foot wingspan on a C-130 that weighs a couple of 100,000 pounds when it's fully loaded. And he did it, didn't he?
I have video of that actually happening. And he landed with room to spare, and he took off with room to spare too. They had every, he took him going as fast as he could to make as much wind as he could. He took off well before the angle deck. He just kind of pushed into the air and went away.
Wow. Now, how fast will the carrier go into the wind? I mean, it's without respect to the wind that would be coming across the bow.
Don't try and make 20 knots down the angle. That's the goal. So if you go 5 knots to do that, they'll do that. If you go 20, they'll do that.
So in other words, as long as you have 20 knots of wind going across the deck, right, that's enough for the catapult to take a 45 to 50,000 pound airplane and get it airborne in a few minutes.
Correct. So a lot of times you have higher winds taking it out. You have 45 knots wind across the deck. That's just for 1,000 on landing is always saying. angle of your approach a little bit, and it makes for a much more difficult power correction when you spin that angle. Super Hornet. Right. There's a lot of people with the air intake. Right. The tip of the air intake on the Super Hornet is square, and the tip of the intake of the left speed is around. With one airborne, you can tell the difference because the left, that little fairy that comes out from the cockpit goes back to the wing on the Super Hornet is bigger. So what we're looking at right now is the F model, the 3-seater. Yeah, Rob, there's one thing I miss about being in the Navy, is that smell.
But you don't have to get up quite as early most of the time anymore, do you? That's why I know. The first Hornet flight was about 1978.
Correct.
And it's a single Super Hornet.
Right, that's the E-2C model, the single seat.
And the first Super Hornet flight was 1995. So this is proved to be one of the best choices for a design for aircraft that anybody ever thought of.
Yeah, it works really well. The Hornet brings to show a whole bunch of new improvements. Especially in the right now, using the Navy thing and the Navy weapons system.
I was telling some of the crowd earlier that this basic airplane design was a loser for the F-16 fighter Falcon when Northrop had it in competition, but the Navy survived.
Yeah, it's got strength, weight turn ratio. It's just all around a really good choice for airplanes.
Now on the nose wheel we see that little thing sticking up. What is that called?
That's called the launch bar. That's what actually goes into the shuttle on the catapult. And that's what they drag the airplane off with when you do your catapult stuff. You're basically along for the ride at that point.
So if you're talking getting a 41,000-pound airplane, it's all on that one little piece of metal?
Absolutely.
Whoa.
It's a very good
There's a lot of trust.
Well, there's a lot of trust in our players that work in the airplane. The guys doing the work really love their job and they're appreciative of our work for all the time.
Now when I put the simulator when it's time for me to do my tax job, I want my hands on the throttle today and my right hand is normally on the stick. I'm on a handle. I just didn't intend to hold the stick during takeoff.
Yeah, during the catapult shot, the pilot will not touch the stick because you can influence what the airplane does. You want the airplane to fly itself away from the deck. And the Hornet is smart enough to do that.
Wow.
The airplane will respond, maybe going across it, move the stick by itself, so it's a the carrier, then you have to start flying.
That's absolutely phenomenal. Now, it's not supposed to one Super Hornet was putting this elevator up. Over the spin back, there's a lot of elevator travel. It's an amazing, that must add significantly to its maneuverability.
That's absolutely correct. Those big elevators, moving that far, give you great close capability, which we did optimize the